Well, hello everyone. And I just got back earlier from watching Sinners, the latest collaboration between he, he lead star Michael B. Jordan and director Ryan Coogler. I've enjoyed every single previous collaboration that these have done, from both small scale films to bigger blockbusters, and that streak remains unbroken with this one, which definitely lived up to its hype and presented a unique take on both 1940s period drama and vampire horror. So, let's begin. I'm going to do my best not to have any major spoilers, but I will get into details that will be important to understand what I'm talking about. The main story takes place in Mississippi in the year 1932, where Jordan, playing twin cousins nicknamed Smoke and Stack, are trying to open up a new juke joint and in a former sawmill. Hell, but as they're trying to navigate the entirely complex landscape in that part of history and place, is a vampire cult has gotten into their ranks and it falls to the club patrons to defend themselves and their new lot in life. All as you can expect does not go smoothly, and one thing I've always found useful to gain perspective on issues being faced in the present is to look at how people of similar issues, even the backdrop of fiction, dealt with them in the past. I mean, even removed from the horror elements, the film actually does not hold back in depicting that no matter whether or not they're business owners or had an in with like the Moonshiners, Rum Runners in Chicago, oh, they're still treated as others just for who they are physically, and and also naturally he makes great use of that as well. Oh, it is something that Coogler has excelled at and he's definitely a director that knows how to play Jordan's strengths, and the supporting cast, which includes the likes of Delroy Lindo, who, 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 Haley Steinfeld, Jamie Lawson, and Jack O'Connell, and Saul Williams, name a few, who reflects that. I mean, it is definitely a one that makes also effective use of its setting and then making it turns up plot. I mean, the best I can describe it is basically imagine a Southern Gothic take on the cult classic From Dusk Till Dawn and Not Too Far Off the Mark, in which it's where they're not your conventional heroes, but when the alternative is blood sucking, flesh eating vampires, they're basically the closest thing you've got. Visually, the film is absolutely stunning. I mean, making great use of the setting and his work here with cinematographer her her Autumn Gerald Arkapaw, apologies for pronunciation in advance, and editor Michael P. Shaver, her paints quite the vivid picture on display here. Here, especially makes some really great use of continuous shots to host for conversation and also for the party when it gets going at this juke joint they have. Even when in and one of the cousins kneecaps someone who tried to rob their truck of supplies. It's another one that tells me that it's not the first time dealing with people like that, and also the way it's framed also it tells you it will not be the last. I always appreciate that when a film gives you the story information visually without making it explicit. I mean, a little way of saying pay attention is going to be important later. And of course, the Goronson and with the burgeoning scene where also another recurring theme shows how even despite their often being at odds with each other throughout history, that gospel music and all the multiple kinds of pop music over the years actually have a lot more in common than one might think. I think that inspiration can come in many different flavors and sources, and definitely I am would be willing to find that track when and the guitarist and the pianist really get going, especially after a few drinks, especially. And I'm not talking about how just like the cherry pips they have with lunchtime either. That's all I'll say for the matter. And even though it definitely is a bit on the lengthy side at 2 hours 17 minutes, it certainly does not feel like that to me. It definitely kept me invested throughout the runtime. I'm even if someone watching Minecraft in the other screen, he was singing along to the chicken jockey to the lava chicken song on, even though I think there was no one throwing any refreshments at the screen and or getting rowdy like that. I mean, there were, however, some pretty cute papercraft ghasts and creepers in the lobby. As if to say, hey, that's a nice inspirational animated film you have there. It'd be a shame if something happened to his box office takings. All joking aside, I'd, hey, this is definitely not a conventional way for me to celebrate a weekend renewal. But then again, and I haven't been one of a convention lately. Hey, I also can definitely say this in good faith, even with the fact that they swapped their release dates with the little scene, but also very good Mickey 17. If I had a nickel for every auteur filmmaker her, who made a highly acclaimed film with a talented actor in a dual role, I'd have nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's a way that happened twice. Yes, I have been binging finishing for the revival coming, so again, gotta stay on track. And the bottom line is this. Yes, it is joined the. It may not be my favorite film collaboration between Jordan and Coogler, but it is definitely very high on the list. And it's also marks one of the few directors I've seen, especially when collaborating with an actor they've been working with ever since they were just starting out. Oh, that actually managed to keep a consistent level of quality with each successive work. Look, I mean, let's just say that, hey, as one last bit, I think the good old boys knocking at his door might not want to tangle with someone who fought the Black Panther and was trained by Rocky Balboa as well. So, bottom line, it's definitely one of my favorite films I've seen this year, and I give it a very juicy 4 out of 4, 5 out of 5. And to follow up this elevated horror film, psychological drama, will be something so dumb it wraps on being brilliant, which I'll have ready to go. But first, here's your events and coming attractions. Let's just rip off the band-aid first. The Accountant 2, next week, April 25th, and as I previously stated, I was not a huge fan of the first film, and this time around they seem to be downplaying the lead's condition, though given some of the nonsense coming out of HHS lately, don't blame them. But I may play role association, and as I sometimes do, what I'm looking at is like this. It's like any other action revenge thriller, only this one just happens to involve even a Batman and the ladies have to play the Punisher going after the people who killed Jameson. And on a side note, I may move up my Revenge the Fifth plans since I found out that the theater I just saw this at is going to be showing 20th anniversary screen Revenge the Sith. I mean, I've had that poster up there for a reason, and that's because I like the way it looks. And failing that, might be seeing it when I'm taking a break in Oahu. I might not. We shall see. And now, how begun the invasion of the temples has. The Thunderbolts coming May 2nd with the Marvel Armor comic film opening the summer movie season means something a time-honored tradition at this point. It's only natural that this is going to be an unconventional way to help sunset Phase 5 and kick off Phase 6. And with that being the case, is even though these may not be the biggest names in their roster, I still do have a sense of attachment to them and their individual works, and even though I'm deliberately lowballing my expectations of how much it'll do, I can say there's enough dedicated fan base of the Marvel banner that I'll definitely might be making something. I also did fairly recently see the last preview for it, and I can definitely say it's not exactly like the Suicide Squad as their answer to it, but I can definitely also say that I'm open to what they're going to be doing with the material. Oh, I mean, I also looked at the Void Sentry, on the wiki. Even someone who I'm not the most familiar with as a villain, he's definitely not one to be troubled with lightly. I also kind of liked some little bits where apparently, the limousine they used to get around was David Harbour's idea, and he got to keep one of the stunt cars they used, was for that purpose. And it's definitely something I cannot picture opening at anything other than number one. Anything else is basically going to be gunning for second place that weekend. Case in point, opening the same weekend is Rosario, something of a horror film which stars hers, shall we say, David Dalmansky and Jose Zuniga, Diana Lean, Paul Ben Victor, and Emerald Tobiad, and is directed by Felipe Vargas, in which a young woman goes to settle the last affairs of her late grandmother and discovers that she was into some very disturbing stuff that is not what you would be seeing in, like, I'm just glad that my line were into music and literature, and all I had to sort out is there's going to be monetary and amounts that shall remain undisclosed. Let's keep going. June 20th, 28 years later. I mean, it was going to be 28 months later, but it took so long to get made. Here we are. I mean, it is, of all the horror legacy sequels / reboots that are coming this year or in development for the near future, this is the one that I think has the most potential to succeed. Based on the fact they're not only are they're bringing back a lot of cast that survived the events of the previous movies, but also they're going to be bringing back Danny Boyle to the helm and writer Alex Garland to work on the screenplay. They've both had their fair share of acclaim and success, albeit for very different reasons. And even though I may be seeing Elio first, given the recent date change, I'm still going to keep this one on my radar. As a big fan of the previous two films, and I still submit that their impact on zombie apocalypse films is quite an entertaining one, as it definitely introduces a different strain of undead, a strain of Walker, where especially like the idea that where the brain no longer gets oxygen to survive, and that's why they're feral and they're able to run so quickly. Yeah. September 19th, Him. I didn't know what to make about this when I first heard about it, and it's definitely going to be an interesting one where it's a horror film where the protagonist and so other people on the same football team have CTE, and which causes the question in what's real and what isn't, which is a premise that definitely holds water in this day and age, both with a constant question about what's real and what isn't, and the dangers of CTE, and subsequently why I'm glad I was talked out of trying to make a team and started joining other extracurriculars instead at that age. Last, but definitely not least, we have one battle after another. The latest collaboration between director Paul Thomas Anderson, as well as frequent recurring stars, which include but not limited to Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, and Regina Hall, to name a few. Who, I mean, he's definitely has a habit of making he works whether or not it's own screenplay or adapting in someone else's work, say the writings of Thomas Pynchon, which this being he taking elements from the novel Vineland, having previously directed a little scene but also very highly acclaimed aimed adaptation of his novel Inherent Vice. It's definitely gonna be one I could tell just from um the opening moments of the trailer where DiCaprio's character is on a public phone but can't remember all the code words for the mission and his revolution. And yeah, I could definitely tell that PJ's fingerprints are on this, especially. And like I said, just thought I would get you something kind of cerebral before I get into the more absurd herd stuff again, such as tomorrow's subject. I will see you then for my look at Xavier Renegade Angel, Adult Swim's absurdist CG cult classic. That'll be all for now. Take care, everyone.